with any change in an industry, any change in technology, any of these things that happen, and they happen every single day in our world, there's an opportunity for businesses to either adapt their business model and do it better, the future version of them, or to create a new business out of nowhere to provide services or products that didn't exist previous.
Right.
And so I definitely want to dive into some of the things that people are doing well to give you guys some examples of what you can do with your business or your ideas.
Welcome to the Golden Group Neo Marketing Podcast, a bi-weekly discussion of best practices, latest trends, and modern techniques for professional business communication, including advertising, marketing, digital channels, social media, public relations, and alternative options.
Hello, and welcome to the Neo Marketing Podcast. My name is Kyle Golding. This is Pritchard, and today we're going to continue our discussion of adapt, adopt, and pivot for your business during COVID-19 because some of you have not done a good enough job yet.
Bam.
And you're not looking at this as the opportunity it really is. So I'm going to start right there, Pritch, with opportunity.
All right.
The definition of success is the ability to adapt and change to the situation.
Right.
And as much as no one wants the COVID-19 situation for their business, and we're not talking about health and we're not talking about even education, and that's a whole different debate as to whether kids can be in school and all the rest of that. But this is a business podcast, right?
Right.
And we've done multiple podcasts on how businesses should adapt, adopt, and pivot during COVID-19. I'm still seeing businesses try to hold on to the old ways of doing things.
Wow.
That's number one. And number two, I'm seeing some other businesses and some startups, some people who jumped in because of COVID-19 that are really doing some impressive things that 2 years ago, they would have told you you're crazy to do that.
Cool.
So we're going to give some examples of both of those.
Absolutely.
And we're also, I think we're going to accidentally wander into Gamestop and the stock exchange and Robinhood, which is fine because it all fits the same context.
Okay.
And so, in fact, speaking of GameStop, but let's think of the GameStop stores. GameStop stores have not adapted to how technology passed them by to begin with before COVID.
Right.
So they are still physically selling cartridges and disc, etc., for video game consoles. But the video games consoles themselves have dramatically changed, radically changed in how they're delivering the video games to the players.
Right.
Right. Now it's all online.
That's all streaming.
That's right.
Yep.
So they don't put them on a cartridge or a disc and ship it somewhere in packaging and all the rest of it. You know, some of the vintage stuff, the things that were from 10 years old.
Mario
vintage.
Brothers.
Yeah, right. Smash Brothers. And we won't even talk about what's vintage for us. But for the gamers, for the hardcore gamers, right, there's still people who are playing some of those consoles. But most people are playing now online. They're streaming these things online. The consoles have changed.
Yep.
Some of them are now even going without actually producing the consoles and using something like an iPad or something that already exists for the technology.
Exactly.
And GameStop, and it's funny because I follow a few gamers online on Twitter and paying attention to Oklahoma City University's got an esports program, and I've been doing a little bit of consulting with those guys. And so I pay attention a little bit to the gaming space. I'm not a gamer myself by any stretch.
My granddaughter is.
Okay, there
so
you go.
I get an up close and personal look at that.
Obviously, I think anyone who understands that Twitch is a thing and a massive thing, a massive channel out there, another avenue of the way people are communicating with each other via the video game technology. And so to have a brick and mortar store that is buying old equipment and reselling it, and then of course the conversations are always, this cost you $2,000 when you bought it new 6 months ago. We'll give you $7 for it now.
Right.
They don't have a great reputation for how well they treat their gamers, and then they haven't changed with the idea of these things are going to go away.
Right.
And they literally will become a vintage store. It'll become like if you walked into a place trying to buy records or 8-tracks or cassettes for music. I don't think people are really collecting 8-tracks and cassettes, but people are definitely collect records.
Well, vinyl's back.
Right. Vinyl is a big deal. So GameStop could go in that direction. They haven't. They definitely haven't adapted with the streaming product and the way the consoles have changed. And so that's why they were dying. Mm-hmm. That's why their stock was in the toilet when the Reddit users decided to prop it up to beat back the folks that were shorting them and playing those stock manipulation games,
right?
Those funds and out there, and for those folks too, this is the only financial advice I'm going to give anyone on this, because obviously playing the market comes with risk.
Yep.
Investing in anything with the intention of actually investing in like a real investor or trying to short and go things like this, they have risk. You deserve the risk if you're shorting a stock.
Right.
If you short that stock over and over again, you definitely deserve the extra risk that comes with it. And then if you're shorting a stock at 150% of the actual value of the actual number of shares that could even exist in the world, well, you deserve to lose everything that you did in that short process. So I don't feel sorry for anyone who was shorting the stock at that level, above 100% of actual shares. I think they got what they deserved. But a lot of people are looking at this from both sides, and it's interesting how many people are unhappy about what the Reddit Robinhood gang did on the GameStop stock. But no one is really understanding that the people who lost because the Reddit guys and gals came up against them via the Robinhood app, they deserved to get their ass kicked on that one, because they weren't just gaming the system, they were gaming it more than the system could allow for.
Right.
So as much as shorting stocks it's distasteful to me to manipulate a business like that and affect their ability for cash flow and things of that nature, I understand why people do it. It's not illegal. That's their excuse. Right. But trying to do anything of 150% of the value of the thing is always a wrong idea, right? But GameStop got themselves in the position where their stock was worthless because they haven't adapted and adopted to technology.
Right.
And now with COVID, a lot more people staying home, a lot more people who probably are more casual gamers than they were before, definitely investing more in streaming products.
Yep.
The adaptation of the movie industry into streaming, TV went into streaming with their extras, the Peacock network, and AMC has their AMC Plus, and of course, obviously Disney.
There's so many pluses out there now.
Disney and ESPN as part of that package, went full force into streaming with original content. Of course, Hulu and Netflix were already creating original content. So Hulu and Netflix, people say, oh yeah, Netflix killed the video shop, right? They killed Blockbuster Video. Mm-hmm. Blockbuster Video had the opportunity to be the streaming, and they refused to do it.
That's why I immediately thought of Blockbuster when you talked about GameStop.
That's exactly right.
We're watching it happen again.
It is, and GameStop would be essentially bankrupt or out of business if it wasn't for the stock manipulation that's happening around them.
Right.
So the shorting hurts a typical business, but it didn't really hurt them because they were already dead in the water anyways. And then it brought attention to it. And then, of course, the funds that went out or almost went out had to go borrow from some other things because they were shorting in such a manipulative way. Made for an interesting media blitz. And now, of course, the politicians are getting involved, which means they're going to screw it all up.
Of course.
The politicians are going to ruin all of that.
Yep.
So, yes. Blockbuster is the example of don't be Blockbuster because of technology, and don't be Blockbuster because COVID-19 has changed how we do business. And here we are a year from COVID, completely changing how we socially interact and how we do business.
Right.
And there are still people acting like it's 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and eventually we're going to go back to the normal again. And they still are, taping X's on their floor instead of putting actual social distancing signage, and using pieces of plexiglass on a piano wire as opposed to actually investing a couple of bucks in a real structure to go in front of their cash registers or to divide spaces physically. People manipulating the idea of do they have to wear a mask or not when they're around each other and things of that nature. And we've come to a point now where this is what it is.
This is what it is.
Now, we'd like to be less effective on our life, but there's at no point from today on where people aren't going to go, yeah, man, I totally am living like it's 1999. Right. I'm out here, rubbing my hands all over everything and, kissing random people and just eating food off other people's plates, right? Have you seen the memes where like little kids' birthday parties? Like, remember when we used to blow on a birthday cake and then everyone eat it? Like, you don't get to do that anymore. It's just not going to happen, right?
Right.
So businesses not only need to adapt, adopt, and pivot to stay afloat, and we're a year in. If you have not done any of those things, I just every day I'm going to drive by and go, are they open or are they closed, right? But the flip side to that is with any change in an industry, any change in technology, any of these things that happen, and they happen every single day in our world, there's an opportunity for businesses to either adapt their business model and do it better, the future version of them, or to create a new business out of nowhere to provide services or products that didn't exist previous.
Right.
And so I definitely want to dive into some of the things that people are doing well to give you guys some examples of what you can do with your business or your ideas in order to not only survive COVID, but actually maybe excel and do really well. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
You know, COVID's going to be around like measles, like mumps, like the flu.
Yeah.
It's not going to go away. So you are really fooling yourself if you think it
Everything
is.
we have an immunization for, whooping cough and the rest, it still exists in the world, and occasionally it pops up in different places around the country. But immunization and technology, et cetera, has made it where it's controllable at least, and it doesn't become epidemic level like this, right?
Right.
So we mentioned the movie industry. Warner Brothers has already announced all their 2021 films will come out streaming. They have no intent of being in a movie theater for 2021. They've already released Wonder Woman. They're about to release Godzilla vs. King Kong and the new reboot of the Mortal Kombat and some other things that you would think they would really want to have had in the theater because they're special effects films.
Only a couple of months away from the release of Top Gun 2.
There you go, which they've been pushing back.
Right.
Marvel continues to push back Black Widow because they want it to be in the theater. And I understand it, and then I don't, and it's this conversation about how far do you delay, and then how do you just dive head first into this is how people are going to do things now. And to be honest with you, it's got to the point. My wife and I got to the point where there's only a couple theaters we like to go to, and it's actually one of the more expensive theaters.
Right.
They got the big chairs. You select your space, and it's a better experience, but it costs more.
Right.
So now it ends up with you're paying more to stream a film, or you're paying for the monthly service in order to get access to the Warner Brother films or some of the other first release that's coming out on streaming services, but you're doing it in the comfort of your home.
Right.
And you're not paying $7 for a Coke and $22 for a tub of popcorn, and no one's talking behind you, and you can start the movie whenever you want, and you can pause it to go to the bathroom, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
there are creature comforts that come with it that a lot of people are never going back to a theater ever again.
Right. Well, and you mentioned technology. And, because they're blockbuster movies and lots of special effects, and those are normally really good on that huge screen.
Right.
My wife and I were talking about this last night. How about 100-inch TV takes over the entire wall and the surround sound?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like, it's very similar to being there.
I know there are 80-inch TVs
I know.
for consumer models.
We were kind of kidding because the space between our windows
was exactly 100 inches.
Exactly.
Right on.
But yeah, with all of that technology, 4K, now 5K, I mean, the experience is not that different.
How about if you take that experience and go the exact opposite and shrink it down and put it right on your face?
Right.
VR goggles and headphones and surround sound headphones, and there's systems now where you can not only bring the screen closer to your face, and remember that when we were kids, don't sit close to the TV, it's going to make you go blind. Right. That's how Pritch and I got eyeglasses now. But the idea of if you can't experience a film in a theater with the huge screen and the ability to immerse yourself in it, and audio surround and left-right painting and all those things, maybe you can do it in a VR headset, in headphone combination.
Right.
And so I think the theaters that make these high CG, the really action, the stuff that's special effects that you think, oh, you want to see this in a theater.
Right.
I think they really need to go headlong into VR and Oculus type products in order to create that immersion into the character itself. I think that automatically segues into video games. We talked about earlier about the popularity of video games and the technology people have to play and stream video games. So if the movie producers do the same thing, then you automatically have the side products, right? The movie game that goes with the video game that goes with your movie, plot and characters, and all the other swag that comes with it, and all the social media outlets and all of the content that can be pieced out of a film.
Yeah, like Mel Brooks said in the movie Spaceballs, merchandising.
Merchandise, that's where it's at. That's where all the money is, right?
Right.
So I think that's an opportunity for the film industry. Yeah. I think another opportunity for the film industry.
I don't know that we've hit the tipping point on VR.
No, yet. And not enough consumers have it, but the video game industry is the ones that are driving that.
Right.
And so as soon as enough video gamers or people who watch video games or streaming are buying the headsets. Yep. As soon as enough people are willing to pay whatever $42 or $19 or whatever it is to put a movie on their headset and watch it in full immersion, as soon as enough of those people happen, then
it'll tip.
Yeah, then the studios will get there.
There's got to be content too. I mean,
a little of both, right?
But
I think the video games are the content now for people to buy the equipment. Once they have enough of the equipment, then you start offering it. Much like how they film movies now in what we would consider a traditional 16:9, movie theater, but they also shoot them on IMAX and in 3D at the same time. And so knowing that they're going to be different formats that they might end up with the film, filming it in a 3-dimensional headset format. I don't even know what it is technology-wise. Right. At the same time you're filming your traditional film, someone's going to do it and someone's going to make money on it. Much like musicians now are holding concerts inside video games.
Oh, right.
Like Fortnite and some of the other streaming games where everyone is on playing at the same time.
Right.
They're creating a physical location virtually in the video game and performing their show. They're singing their songs. They're doing all the music stuff. You're sitting looking on your screen or on your headset like you would be watching a concert.
Right.
But it's happening on Twitch, and it's happening inside Fortnite, and it's happening inside Call of Duty and these things. Some people have been using games like Call of Duty and Red Dead, the Western, to hold their office meetings because of the ability for everyone to log in and have a private room and things like that. Now, I think those are also the same places where there's the startups where they have skateboarding in the hallways and ping pong tables and things like that.
Exactly.
But people are doing things like that. It's just an opportunity to do something new, to do something interesting, to be innovative, to take advantage of the technology that already exists, but do it in a way you probably wouldn't have before because of taking the risk.
Well, it sounds like we just gave GameStop a map.
Oh yeah, I could easily save GameStop. I could fix GameStop in 5 minutes if they would listen to me. Trust me, I'm sure people smarter than I have pitched these things to them, and obviously they are sticking with it. Or they were just going to ride it out until the day they ended up and close and auction everything off and pay off the shareholders and be done with it.
Right.
And because sometimes I've watched business owners literally let their business kind of dwindle out because it was at least safer and something they understood and could control, even though it would go away, than making a radical change, pivoting the business, and taking that risk, putting it all on the line is something that could ultimately fail.
Yep.
So, the slow burn out is something people can wrap their heads around. The change everything and see if it happens or not. It takes a special kind of business leader or business team to do that. Not everyone has it in them
courage.
like that. Yeah, for sure.
It takes courage.
So these are all ways that business is just being done differently now. They're creating opportunities. Then there's the cross-promotional opportunities, video games and movies and entertainment within other platforms. All these things people should be doing. Something that I think musicians should be doing, definitely the playing concerts in the video game setting makes a lot of sense. So I know the rapper Travis Scott did, and he, 7 of his songs on his current album went to the top 10 of iTunes downloads the minute that concert started because people were like, this is really cool, and they immediately started buying his music. So that's how that works. It's not about getting paid to do the concert. It's about getting in front of people, reminding them they like your music, or maybe even creating a new audience because video gamers who maybe weren't into Travis Scott or like checking out the event because of the novelty of the event. They liked the music and they started downloading it. So there's opportunities like that. I think artists and musicians have a huge chance to do interesting things that they would have normally not done with their art and music and things like that. And the opportunity I think they're all missing is not only streaming shows, like saying like you can't go do concerts anymore. So you should do a free concert to get people excited about your music. Maybe download some of your old stuff, or put out some new things that are just attached right to that specific special event. But I think at the same time, people are consuming so much content right now because they're home more. They're not going out, going out to a club on Friday or Saturday night. You're not going to a concert on a Tuesday. You're not, maybe even working from home. Like you're at your home a lot more. So they're consuming different types of entertainment and different types of content. And for musicians, for artists, I think also for designers, for architects, anyone who makes something or has a process where they start somewhere and they end up somewhere else, they typically always focus on the end product. Like, we're going to release our song and it's going to be this 4 minutes of this and it's perfect. We've been in the studio and we worked all this stuff out. But for me and a lot of other people, the process is more interesting than the end piece. Mm-hmm. So they should be live streaming their practice sessions. They should be live streaming their rehearsals. They should be releasing the demo version and the version 1 and version 2 that are unfinished, the raw mixes.
Right.
They should put them out for free.
Right.
Or if you want to charge, still tell people straight up, this is an unfinished version of this song. And if people want to buy that, they want to download it for $1.29 on iTunes, fantastic. It's something that literally was going to sit on your shelf in your work process and no one was ever going to hear it. You have the potential to either use it as something you share for free on social media or YouTube channel, etc., or give it away as a digital download, or try to sell it as, if you are totally into us, you might like these alternative versions of songs as a new revenue stream. Either way you approach that, you are building relationships with your audience. You're deepening that connection that you can't get now because you can't go do shows. You can't be out in front of them physically.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of things like that. I think artists, if you're painting, if you're sculpting, if you're a photographer, and you it takes 20 steps to set up a photo shoot, all of the behind the scenes. We like to shoot the behind the scenes of our stuff. We shoot the behind the scenes when we do photo shoots for our clients, etc. Showing the process is so interesting to a lot of people, and I think not enough artists and musicians are embracing that right now because they get so hung up on, I don't want you to hear my song until it's perfect.
Until it's perfect, right. But people love behind the scenes.
Yes.
I mean, they absolutely love, they feel special. They've been invited into the process.
Right.
I mean, there's a big upside if you can get over that
100%
kind of ego thing.
That's absolutely right. And the deepening in the relationship with your audience, the sort of proof, if you will, that you actually did the things. There are a lot of people, remember Milli Vanilli, right? They had a big album, but no one ever, they lip sync their concerts because they weren't actually singing those songs.
Right.
You can't be accused of being Milli Vanilli if you show your rehearsals, raw live feed of your rehearsals and of the first version of the song on the album, etc. Right. If you prove the authenticity of your process, if you show how much work you put into a raw idea, into a finished product. Some people think too. A lot of people, I used to be in the music business, right? People will tell me all the time, like, oh, man, that's so easy, right? You walk in, you sit down, you plug your guitar in, hit the record button, 1, 2, 3, dun, 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 and then you hit record, stop, you go home, it's a song. That's not how it works.
Right.
There's months and months and months of preparation and all these things, elements that go into it. When you show people your process, it lets them understand you and how things happen. Also, sometimes when you get to an end product, sometimes you hear a song and go, man, I like that song, but there's that one part, I didn't really like that part. I like how it ended or something of that nature. And to understand how they got there and understand why they made those decisions is really interesting.
Yeah.
And it's content people would consume now that they wouldn't consume 5 years ago.
Well, yeah. And, I mean, they're fans, right? So make them bigger fans.
Right. So I think definitely businesses should be doing their behind the scenes. We do it a lot for this program. I've got a behind-the-scenes camera going right there. I'm probably going to edit into the video of the podcast recording right now to show you that. I think musicians should be doing it. I think artists should be doing it. I think designers. I think anyone who builds anything. One of the favorite things I like to watch on TV is Jesse James, the guy, the motorcycle guy. But he's got a show. They got the Monster Garages back, and they show these crazy ideas on how to build stuff. Right. At the end of it, what they build is usually not that interesting.
Right.
It's the process. It's the decision making. It's how they worked. It's people who've never worked together before. So like, how did they kind of get their act together? How did they delegate? Who was the leader? What technology did they utilize? Did they ultimately come together and succeed, or did they fail? Did they do it as a team? All this is in an hour of building something in the Monster Garage. Right. And you might say it's just about cars. No, it's that. It's the process. It's the people behind it. And it's something that is interesting. It's content that people will consume. And then you might want a T-shirt or a hat or something else, or you might pay $1.99 a month for the streaming service to get some more additional behind the scenes or something like that. Right. Join the fan club, whatever it is. Right. So there's great economic value in that as well. So these are just a few of the things that I think people are missing the opportunities on. Another example of this is bicycle usage and purchases are way up right now. Bicycles and roller skates.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
People are buying them like crazy because they are home.
Right.
Even places where they can't go to the gym and some of their routine has been changed, or they're just working at home and their focus is different now, right?
Right.
So people are buying bikes, they're buying roller skates, they're getting out in the world and doing a little bit of exercise, a little bit of that organic exercise. And
Peloton's back big time.
So Peloton and a lot of the high-end bike manufacturers, they tend to, in the past, have had this process where you had to go into a store or into a physical location. They wanted to measure you and do what they call a ride fit for bicycles, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of bike manufacturers and the Peloton manufacturers were like, oh man, what does this do to us now that we can't have a fit session physically with someone? Mm-hmm. And the idea, again, 2 years ago, if you said you should do this all online, they said, no, it defeats the purpose. We really need the ability to do X, Y, and Z in person. And to that point, they were right. But now you can't do it in person.
Right.
And so some of them, Peloton is definitely leading the way on this, but some bike manufacturers, and especially some customized and some high-end manufacturers that used to do that, come in, spend an hour with us, get that fit right, get all of the geometry right on your bike, are doing virtual consultations.
Yeah.
They're doing it online. They're doing it, and they send a toolkit or some other items that you do this thing in your house, and they help you, and they measure it, and they talk you through the process, and then they build your bike for you. Or they set up a bike that's in stock and then they ship it to you. They would have not done that 2 years ago, but they've been forced to do it. And now they're actually finding that they can go do more. Instead of an hour, they could do it in half an hour, that their staff can be kind of constantly rotating people in and out, and that they're generating more flow through than they were when they were having these in-person consultations. And the consumers are super happy about the ability to get it done without having to go anywhere, with the fact that the business met them halfway, that they're happy about it. They don't feel cheated out of the experience. They're actually very happy with the experience. So it's a win-win that these bicycle shops would have never done. These brands would have never done this pre-COVID. So now they're taking advantage of it, and they're actually cash flowing better than they were coming into COVID, which is quite interesting.
It is. It absolutely is.
And then I think the last thing I want to kind of hit on today is non-traditional or hybrid collaborations. Lot of focus right now for a lot of people on their different lifestyle, right? Working from home, taking care of their health, protecting their families. All of these things have come front of mind because of COVID and because of the things around us. So even if you do something that has nothing directly to do with COVID, you're not making face masks and you're not making plexiglass shields and you're not in the medical field, but your consumer is still in the back of their mind being affected, no matter what it is your business does, by the safety and health precautions of COVID-19. And they're thinking about taking care of their family, spending quality time with their family. The work from home thing is definitely funneling into that as well. And so it creates opportunity for things that probably were considered commercial or for business to now be considered for the home, or a hybrid, a home office, etc. Obviously webcams were sold out for a long time when everyone started working from home. Hopefully the stock has come back up on that. I found a way. I'm using a GoPro for mine because I couldn't buy a webcam because they were sold out. But people are investing in desks and chairs and ergonomical keyboards, etc.
And organizations are starting to provide stipends so that you can turn that space into your home office.
Yes, so you can stay productive.
Very interesting, right?
Yes. But people are thinking about safety, health, and wellness. At the same time, just so happens, of course, over the last 10 years or so, we've seen more and more states start adapting legalization of CBD, cannabis, and things, medical marijuana, etc. So old ideas about especially marijuana, cannabis, about who consumed it, etc., they were already being challenged and changed and pushed around. Now a lot of people, because they're being stressed in different ways, because they're focused on relaxation, whole body health, mind and body, all of the things that work-life balance, right? All those things that we're trying to encourage people to do. People who are proponents of CBD, cannabis, etc., are stepping right into, well, that's what we've been telling you our products will do for you for years.
Right.
And so a lot, and I'm not an expert, we don't have a client in this space, so I'm not an expert in cannabis, but it seems to me that a lot of what we would call average people, not people who are traditionally, you would say, that's a pot smoker,
stoner.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not the hippies, it's not any of that, it's not a party drug kind of thing. It's the traditional person, working class individual, people who have a job and they're working from home, or they're working a little bit in the office, and they're stressed. Definitely the people in high stress, people in the medical field, people in that are frontline workers, etc. All of these people probably 2 years ago and 5 years ago were not thinking about the use of some of these products to help them relax or help them deal with stress or any of the other things that can come with it. Yep. But they are now, because they need to find a way to relieve stress and to sleep better and to utilize if you're a nurse, if you get 6 hours off, you're super happy. You're working doubles and triples of doctors, like all these, our frontline workers are working more and their stress level's higher. That has to lead to the idea of willingness to try something that they normally wouldn't try in the past. And even more specifically, when it goes back to those stereotypes of pot smokers, right? Well, not being a pot smoker, but ingesting maybe cannabis through an edible or something like a candy or a piece of baked goods or something of that nature. People are putting it now in beer. There's all kinds of combinations of cannabis and CBD, of ways to deliver it to you that's not lighting up a joint and getting the Cheech and Chong, jokes going on about getting high and doing something silly. So the fact that it can be delivered differently, the stereotypes have been addressed and challenged, and that people really need something additional right now that isn't addictive and isn't dangerous ultimately. At the same time, a lot of people are pushing back on narcotics and pharmaceuticals like that. I think that's a perfect storm for cannabis and CBD, and that's why obviously here in Oklahoma it's only been legal about a year now, 2 years now, and there's a huge. It's still in startup stage, but all around the country, states have had it longer than us for sure, and then new states are coming online every year with allowing medical marijuana or small amounts of recreational, etc. And so I think that industry is going to continue the ebb and flow of the growth of that industry. It's in its infancy right now, and that plus the focus on health and wellness because of COVID-19 is a perfect storm for that industry. I think every other industry, most of you out there right now are not in the cannabis industry, just by nature of statistically speaking. But you can take these same ideas. Cannabis or CBD will not keep you from getting COVID-19, but understanding that people's mindsets have changed, that behaviors have changed, that things that they would have not traditionally done 2 and 5 and 10 and 20 years ago, now they're more open to, and you have the opportunity to present your product or service in that light if you're doing it honestly and authentically, don't make something up just to try to sell products, that's an opportunity to maybe business that went away from you traditionally because you couldn't do brick and mortar or in-person transactions, etc. You might have an opportunity to go in a different space or attract a different audience because attitudes have changed and consumer behaviors have changed, and also the ability now to ship things and have delivery, whether it's directly through a carrier like UPS or FedEx, or Postmates and some of the other subcontractor types. Mm-hmm. Those ideas too, same thing. Like we wouldn't want to pay $30 to watch a movie in your house, but you also wouldn't pay an extra $10 to have someone bring you a pizza. But now you'll pay extra $10 to have people bring you food and things from the drugstore, and possibly even in some states your medical marijuana.
Right.
It's all kinds of opportunities out there. If you open yourself up to it, if you understand that change is the opportunity. And that's where everyone's missing is they're resistant to change. They don't want to change. They want to stay with how they've always done it. They want to stay in that. This will go away, and then I get to go back to doing my business. It's not going away. You're not going back to doing business the way you were before. We've been telling you that you were in trouble. You might go bankrupt. At this point, you've maybe figured that out, but you have the opportunity to create the new version of your business if you will embrace these new ideas like the examples we just gave today.
There you go. Sage advice.
There it is, folks. So like always, I'm going to ask you guys to please leave a comment, give us the thumbs up, hit the heart, however it is you found us on the podcast or the video. Hit us up on social media. Tell us what you like, what you dislike. If you agree, disagree, if you think we missed some examples, we'll do another show if we get enough missed examples. There's plenty I missed out there. Things you like, disagree with, agree with, etc. Let us know. Give us that feedback. Give us a review. Hit the subscribe button for sure. Tell a friend. Share our social media. We appreciate all of that. We're having such a great time here on the Neo Marketing Podcast. This is another in a series of COVID-19 specific podcasts that we've done. We've done multiple now. I think we're around 10. We have put together a playlist on YouTube and on the various podcast platforms. We've put together a list. It's also on our website. If you want to just specifically listen to COVID-19 advice from us over the last year, we have a playlist for all the COVID-19 podcast and videos of the Neo Marketing Podcast. So if you're interested in this topic, check those out as well. And then hit us up on social media. Let us know what you want to hear in a future episode of the Neo Marketing Podcast. Until next time, good luck.
Ciao.
This has been the Golden Group Neo Marketing Podcast. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Tell a friend, leave a review, and engage with us on social media. Thanks for listening.